It's time to make it, just give it a try. 'Cause you can make it like the old fat guy.
Welcome to this episode of You Can Make It with David Farrell, the old fat guy. That's me. I'm going to make something that you should be making all the time because it is so easy and it's so good, and that's breakfast sausage. When you go and buy sausage in the store, you don't know what's going in them. They grind up cuttings and they use commercial seasoning mixes. It's so easy to make it yourself and know exactly what's in it. So today we're going to make OFG breakfast sausage. It's simplicity itself to make. The first thing you have to do is find the right pork. You can't just go buy lean pork. You have to buy pork that's at least about 20% fat. And if you buy pork shoulder or pork butt, it pretty well has about 20% fat mixed through it. But if it looks like it's been trimmed really lean, talk to the butcher and get him to give you a little bit of his trimmings off of it to add to it to get the pork fat up to about 20%. And then you just want to cube it into about 1-inch cubes for your grinder, which I have done. And then you need to add some seasonings that you're going to toss the cubes in. And the seasonings I'm going to be using, I'll usually measure them by weight, by grams. That's because you get a consistent sausage every time, no matter how you chop it. But it's a lot easier to measure by milliliters or teaspoons, so I'll give you both. You decide which one you want to work with. We'll start off with, I have 12.5 grams salt, which is 6.5 milliliters or 1.5 teaspoons. I have 2.2 grams or 3 milliliters, which is a half teaspoon of black pepper. I have 2.2 grams or 10 milliliters, which is 2 teaspoons of chopped fresh sage, or you could use dry sage, but then you'd use 0.7 grams or 1 milliliter or 1/4 of a teaspoon. I have 0.65 grams or 1 milliliter or 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground ginger. I have 1 gram or 5 milliliters chopped fresh thyme, or you can substitute 0.5 grams, which is 1.5 milliliters or 1/3 of a teaspoon of dried thyme. I have 0.9 grams of dried chipotle, which is the equivalent of 1/4 teaspoon or 1 milliliter. If you can't get chipotle where you are, substitute it with half the amount of cayenne. And just add those spices into the cubes of meat. And then you want to toss them around to coat. You want to get them well coated in the spice mixture. Now, something you need to know about making sausage. The pork must be kept cold at all times. If it gets warm, the fat can separate out and you'll get a horrible texture. So whenever you're not doing anything with the pork, make sure you put it in the fridge and make sure it's been in the fridge for a good long time before you start. So I've got the meat all covered with the seasonings, so I need to set up my grinding station to grind up the pork into the sausage. And guess what I'll be doing? Just like I told you, this will go in the fridge while I set up the grinding station, and I'll see you in a second. So I took the pork back out of the refrigerator and I set up my grinder attachment on my stand mixer. Now you can use the hand grinder roll ones. They work just fine. They just take a bit longer, or you can buy a dedicated machine just for grinding meat. This works fine for just a couple of pounds. So we're going to fire it up and I'm just going to grind the meat through. And that's the last of the meat. There we go. So our meat is all ground up into sausage. Now, the trick is to get it to mix up and get a little bit better consistency. We're going to do some mixing by hand. So I'm just going to get a couple more things, put the meat in the freezer for a minute, or in the fridge for a minute. I'll be right back with you. So the pork is nice and chilled, and I've got it out on my pan, and I'm just going to how do you like that for a wordplay? I'm going to poke some holes in it, and I have here 1/4 cup of water. It just helps with the consistency of it. So nice cold water, just pour it over the pork. Now I'm going to mix it by hand for 3 minutes. It just gives a better consistency so the pork sticks together better as sausage. And the way I mix it is I fold it over in half, press it down, turn the pan a 1/4 turn, fold it over, press it down, and I'm just going to keep folding it over and pressing it down for 3 minutes. Okay, my pork's been mixed for 3 minutes now, and you'll see it's got a bit of a pasty texture, but still has chunks of meat in it. If you like your pork really fine, like it closer to what comes out of the supermarkets, you can run the meat through the grinder twice instead of just once, and then you'll mix it for even longer. But this is the consistency I like my sausage to be in. Now at this point you have some choices. You can go and buy a sausage stuffer and some collagen casings and stuff your sausage into it and get it like they come in the store. Or you can make patties out of it. Just grab about a golf-sized ball size piece of meat, roll it, and press it flat. And do that and make them all into sausage patties and then just cook them up. So I'm just going to start rolling a few sausage patties, and I'll see you in a minute. I made my sausages into patties, and here's some here, and of course you got to try one. Now these will actually have a more even spice flavor the next day, but I can't resist. I just have to try cooking a couple. So just take your patty and put it in a medium fry pan over medium heat, and you're going to cook it through. Now if you really want your sausages in links and casings, if you go to my blog, oldfatguy.ca, I show you how to do that. But there's no need. It just makes them look better and gives them a prettier presentation. So we'll just cook these sausages up and give them a taste. The problem with a lot of people in cooking sausages is they overcook them. Your sausage should be cooked to 155 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's it. So I like to use an instant read thermometer and just push it into the center, and if it's over 155, I just take it off. There we go. And we'll just shut down my stove, and let's give it a taste. Nice and juicy, look at that. Nice and soft. That doesn't have as much salt as the commercial, but enough salt to give it flavor. The herbs just really give it some depth, especially the sage and a little touch of thyme. And the little bit of chipotle, just not, if you don't like heat, you'll be fine, but it gives it a little something back there. This is a truly great breakfast sausage. And the best part is, you can make it.
I have a good woman, I ain't good looking, but I do some cooking, I'm the old fat guy. So use that oven if you want some lovin', be like the old fat guy. Be like the old fat guy.